Hi and welcome back to Mentoring Moon. My name is Kayla and I'm here to talk all about the snow full moon that is here today. What's today's date? February 24th, 2024. With that, let's drop in with a quick couple of breaths and then let's see what comes through. So I gently invite you to close the eyes or at least take a soft gaze and begin to bring your awareness inward. Maybe there's a couple sounds that need to come out, or maybe the breath just deepens. Just take a moment to give the body whatever it needs as we come into this space together. Welcome back. So gently opening the eyes if they were closed. Thank you for breathing with me. So I'm filming this a day after I held my own full moon ceremony with a bunch of beautiful women in my community, and I just felt like today I really wanted to integrate the energies that I was picking up on. So this may resonate with you and this may not, and that's perfect. So please just take what works for you and leave what doesn't. But what I really love about this particular full moon is that it is the last full moon in the winter season. So we will have another new moon in the winter season technically, but this is the last full moon of winter. And it, to me, is so beautiful that it's named Snow Moon, because this is the time, at least in the northern hemisphere, where snow is pretty heavy on the ground. It's quiet, it's still, but there are like glimmers of spring, maybe somewhere in the trees with like small blossoms, or maybe there are flowers blooming, or just little sprouts or a little bit of greens poking out underneath the snow from like the watered grass that had died during winter. So there's both this like energy of life coming back and this softening of we're still in winter. We still have work to do. And winter is symbolically a time of resting, which is not very honored in our society. It's also symbolically a time of releasing. So this could be, maybe this resonates with you. I know that this winter season has felt like a big releasing season for me. I feel like I've just walked through initiation after initiation of letting go and letting go and letting go, like more letting go. So we're not out of it in this full moon. We're actually asked to slow down and deepen into that medicine of winter, because winter is coming to an end. And that's what I really love about working with the lunar cycle, is that it brings us not only into the wisdom of the lunar cycle, which is a 29.5-day cycle, but it also brings us into the wisdom of our own internal cycles. This could be our menstrual cycles if we bleed. This could be just the rhythms of our energy levels throughout the month. This could be the seasonal cycles of the world that we live in. So it really kind of anchors us into understanding that the world is really cyclical in nature, and there is no ending, because an ending always fosters a new beginning, and a beginning always comes full circle into an ending. That point of ending and beginning is actually the same dot on a circle. That's how I conceptualize it. So I'm really just feeling into this slowing down, because if you follow the seasons and if you follow the lunar cycle, Imbolc just happened, which is an Irish tradition for welcoming in spring. The goddess of Brigid usually oversees this beautiful ritual, and it's all about like planting the seeds and preparing for spring and coming out of the hibernation of winter. But in reality, we're still in winter. So even though we had that momentary like, oh yay, spring is just around the corner and I'm so excited for these things that I want to plant, these things that I want to plant are like creative ideas or things that you want to see come to life in your own world. They're not physically seeds. I mean, they can be, but I'm talking in metaphor and symbols here. But yeah, so there was that like burst of energy at the start of February, because Imbolc is celebrated typically around the 1st or 2nd of February, depending on how it falls on the leap year. And then came the blanket of snow, at least for me. Like, there was this surge of energy, this excitement. I wanted to run towards spring, but I was very quickly reminded that like I'm still in winter, and there are still things to release. There are still things to sit with, and there are still places in me that require stillness, that require sitting with, before I jump into the energy of life building. Because that's what happens. Spring comes, the spring equinox is, only a couple weeks away. And then we're off to the races a little bit. Spring starts, life begins to bloom, and then summer peaks, and then summer's just full of life. Like, it's a nonstop like celebration of life. And then fall happens, where we're kind of falling away, but there's still a lot of energy in fall. And then we come back full circle to winter, where there's that stillness, that rest. So I really wanted to tap into this snow moon, because I just really feel this call to continue honoring the slowness of the winter season, even if, winter where you live isn't full of snow. Like, for me, here in North Carolina, there's no snow on the ground. Sometimes it's 70 degrees outside, and other times it's like 30. So there's this like whiplash of, is it spring, is it not? But it's this gentle reminder that there is still an integration period that needs to happen as we move into spring. So I really just felt that so strongly over the last few weeks, and definitely yesterday in the ceremony. I just feel like this blanket of snow has landed on all the seeds that I've, chosen for the year, and they're resting and they're being nurtured down there in the soil, but they're resting, and that's perfect. That's part of life. You don't plant a seed and then all of a sudden it's full bloom. It takes time, and the rest is like so important. And that's what this snow moon is really feeling like for me. So even if you're watching this video like a day later after the full moon, the way that I work with full moons and the lunar cycle is more of like a blended energy, because it is a full cycle. It's not just 2 phases, the new and full. It's a whole 29.5-day cycle. So these themes, these energies, they kind of bleed into the rest of the cycle. So even if you're tuning into this a day or even a week later, there's that seed of, am I resting? Am I giving enough time for these, whatever was left to be processed in winter, whether it's grief or anything else that needs to kind of like fall away from your life? Am I giving the space in my life to honor that and to really show up for that? Because letting go and resting and being still isn't always the easiest thing, especially when we have a lot of like goals, or we feel the energy of life, or we just want to go out and like have fun and do things. It's that resting energy that really gives us the capacity to hold all the things that we're trying to grow in our lives, whether this is deeper love and connection with our loved ones, our family, our friends, whether it's growing a business, whether it's jumping into a creative endeavor. Like, it could be a number of things, but that rest, that integration, that stillness, that coming back home and listening to what's going on is so needed. Because I know for me, when spring comes or when that surge of energy comes, I'm like, I'm gonna do all the things. And sometimes all the things are not totally in alignment with the vision that I have for myself and the direction that I want to go in life. And I can get pulled into things that aren't for me because I just feel like I have all this energy and it's never going to get depleted. But the truth is, it will get depleted. And so this is such a crucial time, I think, in the transition between winter and spring, to slow down, to really honor the transition, and to rest and take a moment to reflect. You know, we're about to step into a whole new phase. Life is about to get a little bit busier. So giving ourselves the opportunity to really come into presence, not just with, you know, our goals, but with our body, with just being throughout the day, like really savoring each moment of every day and saying, this is life and I'm here for it. I'm fully aware of the people who are around me. I'm fully aware of what's going on inside of me. I am fully aware of the life that lives around me, and just slowing down and getting out of the pushing, forcing, growing energy that is definitely coming. It's just around the corner. But this is such a good time to just breathe and be. And that's exactly what we did last night in the moon ceremony. And today, as I was sitting with the energy and coming back into my own field, I really just needed to roll around with my body and be with my body and take some time to just acknowledge what was here and do nothing about it. Like, I just wanted to indulge in the sacredness of having life and having a body and being able to breathe and love and show up, because we live in a world where, you know, that's not accessible to everyone right now. Like, we are living in very chaotic times. I don't have to go into all of what's happening for you to know what I'm talking about. So just the fact that I have the privilege to like sit down and rest and really tune in is such a gift, and it's not lost on me. And if you're watching this video, even if you have all these thoughts and ideas about how you have no time, you're watching this video, you definitely have time to sit and be and rest and be with yourself. So that is my 2 cents on the snow moon. There's so much more I could go into, but I really just wanted to beam in here and share a little bit about my context of how I work with the lunar cycles, which includes the seasonal cycles, and what I was feeling into. Like I said, it may resonate with you, it may not. So please just take what works and leave the rest. And if you are feeling called to work with the energy of the full moon, it is active, you know, not just today on Saturday, but it is also active 2 or 3 days prior. Does prior mean before? Anyways, 2 or 3 days before or after the full moon actually happens. So maybe doing a ritual where you just kind of do some meditation. I mean, there are so many rituals and ceremonies that you can do for yourself, but I recommend taking at least an hour of your time if you have that available, and tuning into, you know, what have you been releasing and feeling into over the winter? What has been your reality this winter? What has it been full of? Was there a lot of resting? Was there a lot of grief? Was there a lot of loss? Like, whatever it is, just acknowledge it, and then reflect on, you know, what you're excited to plant for this spring to come, because the new moon is just around the corner. And even though the new moon will be in winter, it will bring a fruitful spring full moon, and that is really where the magic of our visioning starts to come into formation. So just take some time, if you can, to sit and be with your own intentions, what's important to you, what's important to those around you, and get really clear on what it is you're trying to plant this season. Because, you know, if you just plant whatever seeds somebody hands to you, and then you find out that you've grown a broccoli and you hate broccoli, or you've grown, I don't know, sunflowers and you are allergic to sunflowers. Like, what are you going to do? So getting clear on the seeds that you're planting so that you know how to tend to your own garden, and in tending to your own garden, you help those tend to their own gardens in your life, or their own gardens in your life. And it's really so beautiful. I love the garden metaphor. I love the nature metaphor. Like I said, working with the moon, it's not just about the moon, but it definitely anchors us into cyclical living, which allows us to broaden our experience of what it means to be a living, breathing, growing, evolving person in such a fast-paced world. So many blessings today on the full moon, and I hope that you find the time and presence to rest. And may every person in the world who's feeling stressed or hurt or in the throes of trauma and pain and suffering be held in the ceremonies and the space that we take for ourselves, and know that even though they may feel alone, they're not alone. Yeah. I know there's so much more to do to heal this world, but that is what I have to offer right now. Many blessings. See you soon.